host today, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood. With me today are Hezekiah Allen. Hez Allen is our Recreation Services Supervisor for the City of Cottonwood Parks and Recreation Department. He works at the Recreation Center also as Recreation Supervisor there. Also, we're pleased to have Brad Miller with the Yavapai Broadcast with us today and the KVRD radio team.
How you doing?
So I'm doing good. It's the opposite thing. You're supposed to be over somewhere else.
The tables here.
So yeah, we are. And
I don't get into Studio G too often anymore. Yeah.
You normally do this to me.
Yeah,
so
that's how it used to run that way.
It's like you said, tables are turned now. So no, I'm kidding you, Brad. It's good to have you here today.
Thank you.
And we really, I just wanted to tell you, we're talking about rhythm and ribs and our formatting and how we go about our programming and what we're going to be doing for September 5th and 6th, because it's now a two-day event for rhythm and ribs. And KVRD Yavapai Broadcast is on board with us this year. It's going to be rhythm and ribs country music and with KVRD, and we're really excited. This is a tremendous opportunity for us as well, and we wanted to thank Yavapai Broadcast and KVRD as they continue to help us. I remember being here from 1990, coming into Cottonwood, and it was one of the first contacts that was made, and so it's been a 24-year relationship in reality with KVRD Yavapai Broadcast. It's been incredible. What a journey we've had.
I didn't have any gray hair then.
Well, you know, I didn't either. I was called the young kid on the block, and now look at it. It's like I can't even grow a mustache and a beard now without white coming through all over the place. So, in fact, I think Ryan has one of our productions. I think it was right in November, as I was drawn for hunting, and so I grew a white beard and I looked like Santa Claus, and everybody chided me for that as looking like Santa. So, but I'll get away from that, how old I am. Again, we're talking about rhythm and ribs and our program and venue, and I want to start off with Hez here in a minute. We've got an incredible fall venue for our citizens, our community in Verde Valley in general, with starting off with rhythm and ribs on September 5th and 6th. We have Thunder Valley Rally, which would be September 19th, 20th, and 21st, and our fall carnival program for our kids in our community in the Verde Valley, Cottonwood area on October 31st, which is Halloween night, and then also Walking on Main November 8th, which is our fall review, and this is kind of the perfect time of the year to come out and enjoy everything that we do in Cottonwood. And we do a lot. It's pretty impressive for a small community that we are, and one of the things Hez, I wanted to go over, the Chamber of Commerce on a national basis just recently did a review of different states, and our state was identified, and they go through 63 different criteria matrix on identifying who the top 10 communities are in the state of Arizona. And can you tell us a little bit about that as to?
Sure. There was a national study done for the state of Arizona, and it was done by a real estate company that works on a national level, and they looked at 66 different communities within the state of Arizona with annexed population over 10,000, and there was a criteria, like you stated, for developing a matrix on the top 10 cities in the state concerning local restaurants, quality programs, and basically things that are happening and up and coming and exciting. The first, I want to say, was Flagstaff, Tempe, and then Cottonwood, City of Cottonwood, little old Cottonwood, was number 6.
That's right. I mean, we were beat out by Tempe, Flagstaff, Tucson, Scottsdale, and then Prescott.
Right.
And then Cottonwood was next, and then we actually beat out Paradise Valley, Chandler, Phoenix, and Casa Dobles. And that's pretty incredible. And what they identified is they specifically identified nightlife per capita, live music venues per capita, which is what we're doing, active life options per capita, arts and entertainment, fast food restaurants per capita. Hopefully the fewer the better. We do have quite a few here. But percentage of restaurants that are not fast food, and then they went through percentage of young residents ages 18 to 34 and population densities.
Right.
And then what did the community have to offer? And we ranked in number 6. I just was highly impressed.
It's amazing.
You know, it is. I think with all of us doing all of these different things, we're putting together all of these programs, special event activities, programs, the recreation center, library, all of these things are definitely a plus and a very positive for our community. So this, again, it is just a ladder up as we talk about rhythm and ribs today. As we talk about rhythm and ribs, why do you feel that this program was such a good match for our community about 7 years ago?
You know, and just to tie in back with the survey that was done for Cottonwood in the area, everything we do in this community is a team effort. We're small but mighty, and we rely on our relationships and what we've built over a lot of years. 24 years you've been working with the Amplified Broadcasting. I had no idea.
Yes.
And so when we looked at Rhythm and Ribs, it was kind of a joint effort, and we were trying to think, okay, where is everybody from predominantly? The Midwest. And what do you have in the Midwest every weekend? A barbecue competition. And everybody has a barbecue in their backyard, and everybody challenges a neighbor, you know, who makes the best ribs.
That's right.
So we started humble beginnings on a baseball field at Riverfront Park with two regional acts. It was Major Lingo, and I can't remember the band out of Flagstaff.
I don't remember either, but you're right. It was two smaller acts in that context.
Two smaller acts.
Yeah.
And then, boom, 3,000 people showed up.
Right.
And I think the entire staff was looking at each other going, ooh.
What do we do with 3,000 people?
I think we might have something here.
Yes.
And every restaurant that participated that year sold out everything at the event, everything at their restaurant, and they were excited to do it in the future. And it kind of blossomed from there the next year at Marshall Tucker Band.
Right. And we've just gone from there, so it's been kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So go over the past, you know, as we look at that, we've seen Marshall Tucker, we've seen Blue Oyster Cult, we've seen, who else have we had?
Yeah, Gin Blossoms.
The Gin Blossoms, yes.
A lot of great regional entertainment from Stephen Ashbrook to, you name it, Blue Oyster Cult. It was funny because I don't know if Brad, you and I were chatting a while ago, but you know, we always try to get those acts that are up and coming or that have a great name. That's always that challenge. You look at the, you know, the cost. You know, if you have an act that has a great name, usually the cost is going to be right up there with them.
Right.
And so if you get that act with a great name, then you're going to wonder about how their live performance is, if the price is right.
Right. That's very true.
So over the years, we've had the chance at Eric Church. Who's the singer for Hootie and the Blowfish?
Darius Rucker.
Darius Rucker. Yeah. And I remember when the casino approached us about Darius Rucker, I said, why do we want a Hootie and the Blowfish singer?
Right.
Oh,
and there you go. And they've just blown right out of the water.
They're blowing up. So we've learned a lot over the years about picking entertainment and choosing and making sure it fits into our budget and what would fit this area and demographics. So.
Well, that's kind of where we've changed too, because in reality we've kind of morphed over the years, and we finally decided to come to a point where, you know, like last year with Eric Pasley and being an up-and-comer, a new person, a new face on the country block, as you know, as you would say it. He hadn't even really cut his first record yet, and they were ready to move forward with that. 4 months later, he cuts it, but he comes to Cottonwood prior to that, and I think he just really took everybody by surprise.
Yes.
But a lot of the younger generation saw and already knew who he was and latched on, and they came.
Right.
You know, so we've changed things up, and that's kind of the direction our venue is moving now, is more towards that, is trying to get the up-and-comers that we can see who are actually starting to, you know, move that direction and get into the fast lane. We'd like to try to get them here. And so that's part of what we're doing. Now, and I know that that's one of the things with Eric here, as I even have it written down, that he was on the top 5 hits chart on the country airplay in early 2014 after he came here to Cottonwood. So that's what we're trying to implement here, and it's a great thing. It's a great idea. We also now changed a little bit in the context of last year we initiated a program where we did a contract with a promoter, and go over that with us a little bit here too.
Sure. You know, the city's always looking on how to expand the program, bring more people to the area, use it as an economic driver to showcase Cottonwood in the Verde Valley. So, you know, we have a set budget, and the budget's not really moving. So we're looking at ways to, one, increase our staff, because we have a very small staff, and so by bringing in a partner like that event company, it helps us to increase the budget, helps us share the risk a little bit, and also share the responsibility. And Gigi with that event company has been great to work with. She was with us last year, and each year we're seeing things grow steadily. Even though this is our second year, we've seen tremendous growth.
So that event, with that event company, and now with the Yavapai Broadcast KVRD on board and helping us out here, our hope is that we can actually get more into the success of the nature of the event.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're planning here for the future. Yep. We need to take a break at this point in time. We'll get back with Hez in the third segment as to who's coming, who's going to be here for Rhythm and Ribs, but I want to talk with Brad also as it pertains to a little bit more on KVRD and some of the aspects of what they're doing and how they're helping us with Rhythm and Ribs. So again, welcome to Inside Cottonwood, and we'll be back with you in just one moment. I'm your host today, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood.
Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
Wow! I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark. That was awesome! Let's go again. 3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host today, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood. And I'd like to thank Brad Miller for being with us today as we kind of chided one another at the beginning. The tables are turned here, and so I get to ask Brad some questions, and it's kind of fun. But Brad has some excellent background, and especially with young artists and artists upcoming. And that's one of the nice things about having KVRD involved in this as well, with Rhythm and Ribs and our program venues, and trying to make the selections. We'll probably ask him here a little bit about what his thoughts are for the future of Rhythm and Ribs. But I wanted to, again, thank Yavapai Broadcast for everything they do. It's just been an incredible relationship as we've worked with Parks and Recreation and Yavapai Broadcast over the years. And I've especially always enjoyed July 4th programming and getting with Jackie Beasler and just having a blast. And Don was out there this past July 4th, so we got to talk an awful lot. We were actually talking about him here a little bit ago, so he can know and understand that we do talk about Don a little bit more. But let me get to Brad here. Can you tell us, Brad, a little bit about KVRD that maybe our viewers are not aware of?
I don't know how much they're not aware of, except we were talking about some anniversaries. Year 1990, I got up here in this area in 1992, and Yavapai Broadcasting has been here a long time. KVRD specifically will be 25 years old coming up, a couple years. Wow. For folks who are familiar with the station, that'll seem like wow. Right. Of course, Mark in the Morning for 22 of those years, doing that thing. And it's interesting how from where, and it's a country music station, always has been, where that's gone or started from and where it is today. Sure. We talked about when Mark got into this business, Mark in the Morning, it was all kind of coming along, starting, if we just use that 1990 as an arbitrary starting point, you think about the changes that have occurred in our business, certainly, your business too, everybody's in 25 years. That's right. But in music specifically, and country music even more specifically. When I got into the business was right about that time at a different station, but it's right when people we almost call old-timers these days, and I'm talking Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, those guys came along about 25 years ago, or close to it, and that was a sea change in country music. It doesn't seem like it today. Right. The Judds, from that traditional Porter Wagner twang, those kinds of beloved things that today stand out because they're so different. That was the standard. And then those guys came in, and Garth Brooks is a rock and roll act. He plays country music, but to see him him live, he is as flashy and as exuberant as a rock and roll act. They set the standard, and that's what we're going to see. The new change, and if I don't know if we have to be careful about calling it new country music. That could scare people, but it is. Right. And we're right in the middle of it, and these acts personify, that are coming to Rhythm and Ribs, that change. Hez talked about figuring out on that scale where Eric Church is going to fit, and Pasley, and these kinds of new ones, and that is the key to the whole thing. And I think the ones that are lined up to come to Rhythm and Ribs this year fit into that sliding scale perfectly.
That's awesome.
I don't have any question that some of these are going to be every bit as big as Eric Pasley, and maybe bigger.
Right.
And I'm not just because this event. I've had a chance to talk to some of them already this week. Christian Bush is kind of different because he's had extraordinary success with Sugarland. He writes most of the songs, most of the hits. Jennifer Nettles is the voice, and I asked him about that, and our listeners will hear it. How different is that? Because whoever's got the microphone and the lead vocal for any band you want to name on any genre, they're kind of considered the front person. And there, when you listen to Christian Bush's solo music, when you listen to his whole album and the trailer hits, the song that's out now, you immediately get he's the heart and soul of it. She's the singer. He's everything else. Force. The drive of it all, the heart of it all. And that comes out the instant you start listening to his solo stuff if you haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Sam Hunt is a comer. He's going to be a big player. His song is in the top 40 now, Leave the Night On.
Oh, wow.
And it's, and it's just, it really fits that kind of newer sound that Chris Young and Eli Young, Zac Brown Band's got kind of they kind of swing toward a Jimmy Buffett vibe. But I guess the point is that there's a lot of cross-pollination in music now. Yeah. And some don't kind of like that or quite get there. Taylor Swift, is she a pop artist or a country? And the answer is she's both.
Both, that's right.
And I like that. I really do. I like that. I think people are starting to kind of get used to it, and it's fun to throw in some of the more traditional sounds, and it just makes everything sound that much, that kind of salad, if you will, of what popular and country music is. And I think Rhythm and Ribs is going to be a really good example of that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I know my 15-year-old daughter. She's really into, I guess you would say, the new country, but it's country, and she really loves it, and which is very interesting because there's a large contingent of youth that are that age. They love this country music sound. Right. And she knew Eric Pasley before. I mean, I brought it out, and she's like, what? And,
he's coming?
She already knew.
Yeah.
And she knew of him and everything else. And so I think it's the same thing as what we're seeing now. And
we're going on.
We're excited because, there's some opportunity here for everybody to come out. But now, when that event company with Gigi Rock, when she did a survey here recently, it came in that over 60% of the individuals that want to come and be at Rhythm and Ribs are over the age of, in reality, like 35 years of age. Yeah. And so it's 35 and then up, and even the age group of 54 on above, they were the largest group. But when you start seeing a lot of these, groups that we're going to be bringing in, I think you're going to see a large mix of youth and just the generational gap there. There's not going to be a gap because, again, it's like what you had indicated, the cultural aspect of everything, it's all blending. And so it's great music. So that's what we want to, bring about into Rhythm and Ribs.
And with social media, like with everything else in our lives today, it's easier to find that.
That's right.
And to taste those, stick a toe in those waters, something that's different. Back in my day, Richard, we had to buy the whole album. It was a round thing.
That's right.
And this, or you get it from the radio, and that's still true today. But now you can kind of, well, let me try this, or a friend can pass those things along to you. And that's how it all kind of plays. So the exposure is easier, is more accessible, and easier to get at. And I think people kind of find that. We talked about Sam Hunt, and he's the one I think, I don't want to say I've got a favorite. He's the one I'm most excited about.
That's great.
Just because it is fun to watch a star on the way up.
That's right.
And he's going to be, he already is.
He's shooting up there.
If you listen to his song, Leave the Night On, it's not a rap song, but it's a kind of almost a spoken word in a way, but it's just got a great thing.
Catchy.
But the thing that keeps all of these artists still grounded in the country music thing, and I think that's why Taylor Swift is in that group, are what those songs are about.
Yeah.
The traditional home and family. They are. They're
right.
still into that. That's what makes them country.
Yeah.
That's what doesn't ever change.
That's exactly
And that's
right.
what no one would want to change about country music.
So what promos is KVRD facilitating this year?
Well, we're doing all kinds of things. We're making all kinds of noise. What we're going to do, I think the most, in terms of promos, people, if you listen to KVRD and across all of our family of stations, you're going to hear promotion for this event, for Rhythm and Ribs. So we're kind of partnered the city and Gigi and her outfit with KVRD, but really all of our stations are in. We call this kind of an all hands on deck.
Right.
And on the 2 days of the event, you'll meet, anybody who attends will meet our staff, not just the folks who are on the air, Malone in the morning, Brian and Ashley and myself, but even our sales, the Don,
That's right. Don
you know,
will be there.
all of our folks are there. And that is kind of like, we have tent pole events, really. This is one of them now.
Okay.
And we couldn't be more happy to be a part of it. We deal with advertisers and we help people get their messages out no matter who they are. We have to advertise too. This is an extraordinary way to do it, and it's the most fun way to do it, is to become part of a huge event like this.
Right. It's just awesome. We appreciate it greatly. Now,
It'll be fun.
yeah, it'll be a blast. Now, we understand that Madeline Devereaux was a KVRD's Battle of the Bands representative. What can you tell us about that?
She's a doll.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get to see her live, or all of these artists that we've talked about, and I know you've got them all over a terrific page on the city's website. I'm getting some of that on our Facebook, KVRD too.
Great.
But all of these artists, including Maddie, have YouTube videos. Take a look to get a taste of what you're going to see, and that'll sell your ticket.
Yeah.
You won't want to miss it, just having seen that. And she's another one of these youngins who's coming up. I don't know if Madeline's even 20 years old yet, but she's got her own style. She's got her own thing. When I say she'll be the first to tell you that she's really a band. They are 5 parts of one thing. She's the front gal, like we talked about with Sugarland, but she is more than happy to share, the spotlight with these 4 young men who are terrific, who are really good. She'll open it, and you're starting out at high speed, just in the sense of wow. So get there early and stay late.
There you go.
You get everybody on stage. Ashley Wineland is similar to Madeline. She called this week, and we'll be talking with her on the station as well. And she's a youngster from the Phoenix area, trying to get into this business. Sounds great.
She sounds amazing, and she's like 15.
She's a kid, kid,
Yeah.
a child.
But you listen to her, and she has that big boomy voice that you're like, oh wow, how did this even happen?
Logan Brill is 22.
Wow.
I think she might have turned 23. I talked to her this week, and her music you'll get right away is beyond her years. There's just something kind of to it. So I don't want to say are dark, but you think.
Old soul.
Yeah, old soul. Perfect.
Right.
And she is.
That's great.
And when you talk to her, here comes this bubbly, shiny voice. I'm like, I'm expecting somebody with a cigarette, and whiskey breath. Your songs are so kind of that traditional, kind of thing. And she says, well, I go to a lot of different places when I write a song, and you hear it.
Like
and then
Chris
you talk to her, and she's 22.
That's amazing.
Where does that come from?
Right.
And it ends up in the song.
Well, now you know why we're making this a 2-day event instead of one. Because we just can't. Trying to pack it into one day, we can't do it. Right. So it's going to be a 2-day procession of individuals that are coming across the stage that you're just going to. It's crazy. It's incredible. Brad. So. How does KVRD plan on making this year special?
We've got a lot of different things that we'll do. Well, can I do prop comedy?
Yes, you
for a
can.
moment?
There you go.
Our operations manager, Rich Malone, designed these hats. You mentioned the Don. This is kind of a takeoff of Don's golf hat, but it's got kind of special artwork and whatnot. And then this I just love with the denim and the etched bill. I don't know how well that can kind of show up on camera, but folks will have chances to win these. We're going to have we're going to bring some traditional country things. We're talking about a pig calling contest, so get the voice warmed up, Richard.
There you go. Yes, I'll try.
Cornhole is everywhere now.
The
bag of corn used to be a bag of sand, and now it's a bag of corn. So that we're going to have kind of a special KVRD country version of cornhole. So folks, so we'll have some activities and just fun and games between acts and during those kinds of things. So I think there'll be a lot of different kinds of things to do. Sponsors are already lining up to be part of some of the giveaways and different things like that. So
that's awesome.
I know. It's just going to be 2 days of coolness.
We seem to be hand in hand here with KVRD, Yavapai Broadcast and Parks and Recreation, and what's going to be transpiring here. We're going to take another break. We'll be back here in just a moment for the third segment of Inside Inside Cottonwood. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Richard Faust, your host, Inside Cottonwood. Enjoy.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host today, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood. We've been talking to Brad Miller, KVRD, Yavapai Broadcast, and it's been kind of fun. We've been enjoying ourselves greatly. So, Brad, as we get back into this and talking about rhythm and ribs and the variety of incredible voices and acts that are going to be coming up on the stage for September 5th and 6th, what are your, I guess that's the thing, what are your thoughts for future acts? I'm just going to throw that out to you.
I'm really excited to see what this does. When we talk about, and here again, KVRD, people say, well, I don't listen to country music. I get that. You know, there's that. I'm a music fan, and I go to many different genres. But some folks kind of will pigeonhole just for preference or just where that's kind of where you're going. And again, I just want to stress, to me, the future is what this event yet coming up. And after that, we can decide. Because I think you're going to see a variety of types of entertainment, even though they all fit under that umbrella, country. I wasn't even I'll be honest with you, until I started just doing this last November. Mark retired, and I came in here. I didn't realize how much I missed doing this type of work as compared to the news. But I just wasn't aware of just how many different tastes all fit in that one great big, country music salad bowl or whatever you want to call it. Christian Bush has his own thing. He's going to sound different than Logan Brill, obviously. She's going to sound different than Benton Blunt, and so on. They've all got their own kind of thing. Benton's one of these, he's got arms as big as my leg, He's one of those kind of the Toby Keith school, if you will. Austin Webb is a little more pensive, but he rocks. Christian Bush, I think we are familiar with what he does. Logan Brill can come out with a big band, or she can just sit there with a guitar, and it'll probably do a little bit of all of those kinds of things. So the variety of what you'll see, even though it all fits under a country music festival, there's going to be something like for everybody. I really think so, just from the lineup that has and as you put together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's great.
I really am. I think even physically the lineup, how you've got them scheduled is just right.
Well, and why don't we go into that? Okay. Tell us about the scheduling. What do we have scheduled? How do we have it throughout the 2 days?
We start at Friday on September 5th at 4:30. Right. And then we'll go right into Madeline Devereaux. And then from 7 to 8 is Austin Webb, and 8:30 to 10 is Sam Hunt. That's following Saturday, gates open at 11. We'll go to Stolen Boulevard. 12:30 to 1:30, Jed Morrison. Logan Brill at 1:45, 3 o'clock, Brianna Payne and the Boys. 4:30, Ashley Wineland, Benton Blount. And then 8:30, Christian Bush.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. And every one of them's fantastic.
There it is. There's a schedule. Gee whiz. I mean, it's just going to rock. It's just incredible what we have planned. So, again, if you've got the opportunity, and I know that Labor Day weekend, it's the weekend after that. So starting Friday, the 5th and the 6th, make your plans now to come to the Cottonwood Kids Park. That's where it's all going to be. That's where the action's going to be for those 2 days. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring in, again, as we've talked about the promoter and that event company. Tell our viewers how you go about selecting national acts in conjunction with that event company.
It's KVRD gets involved.
That's it. I was going to just say Brad's right in there with it too. So
it is a long, long process. We probably go through hundreds of acts, and you always get that pitch of, well, they're coming out with this album and this single, and they're going to hit it big, because every agent wants to sell their act. Because you have CAA, which is Creative Artists Agency,
right,
and then you have, and they're in Nashville, and then you have your West Coast agency. And they both have a majority of the rosters, so you ask them, can you send us all your entertainers in this price range, and they're coming up and comers. And then you start whittling it down, you start making offers and putting together kind of a bill, is what they call it.
Right. It's
a long
great
process, and it's a lot of people involved.
Okay.
Again, the way they're complementary to one another. I thought, having heard them now especially, I mean, before I looked and wasn't as familiar with a few like our attendees, but afterwards will. And I think for a long time afterwards with some of these youngsters.
Austin Webb he's one of those guys, he's kind of a blues, jazz, rock, kind of soulful voice. Wow. And he gets on there and wails it on the harmonica like, you know, you're watching a blues traveler.
Like a train's coming.
That's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
Well, now we've talked about the acts, and it's just going to be incredible. And now talk about the peripherals. You know, what do we got going on? Because there's more than just the acts in that context of things.
Definitely.
And we've got other stuff happening. We
are a Great American Cookout tour stop this year.
Okay.
So that gets actually shown on the Cooking Network on television. So they'll come here, they'll have a display, they'll give stuff away, they'll actually do live cooking demonstrations for the public, they'll give barbecues away, you name it. We're also looking at doing some barbecue giveaways on the stage as well.
Great.
And then you go into the KCBS barbecue competition. Right now we're at 20 teams signed up. All these guys and gals do is think about cooking barbecue. That's all they do.
I love it.
Year round, and there's 4 meats, and they dedicate their entire life to these 4 meats. So they've gotten really good.
They have.
Last year we actually got some samples to come back to the backstage. And I think you can attest.
I can personally attest, because I was a judge last year, and I've never tasted anything like that before in my life.
Right.
I'm like, how can you cause this to spring forth in my mouth? And I was like, well, you know, and you're eating, you know, you have 12 different, you know, groups of it coming across, and each one of those groups that are cooking
is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you only can eat one bite, and I want to stay with the one I just ate. Where you bring me, oh my gosh, this one's even better.
I don't want to taste.
So I want to eat.
Yeah.
And so you're packing stuff away. And I know Gigi last year was catching photographs of me down below, because I'm hoarding everything, and I'm just taking one bite of it, and I'm sticking it down for later. It's just incredible food.
Yeah. And to think that barbecue came out of this aspect to where it was a lower class type meal, where that was the meat that was discarded. Nobody wanted ribs. Everyone wanted a certain cut of steak. And so that class of people had to figure out ways to cook it and spice it up, and now it's become this whole culture.
I think that's why country music fits in so well too.
Right, and microbrew.
Hand in hand, yeah. It's that traditional, rural, all of these sounds.
Right.
Yeah, there was an event similar to this. I don't know what it was called, probably 100 years ago.
That's right.
That people came and enjoyed all of the above. Same way.
Probably started from Billy down the street, who made the beer.
That's right.
And Bobby up the street probably brought the barbecue, and that's, you know, it has those roots there.
Well, you know, tell me now, as we get into this real quickly, you know, you talk about microbreweries, and you just mentioned that. So tell us about the microbreweries, and then Beer 30 and the Verde.
Okay. Beer 30 and the Verde was established, I want to say 5 years ago, and it started out at the fairgrounds. It was a great program. Got a lot of attendance. You know, Rhythm Ribs started catching up. We took the direction of a country music festival. And Beer 30 and the Verde was just a natural fit to come right into the Rhythm and Ribs Country Music Festival. Donnie Shanks does a great job with it. I believe we have probably 30 some odd microbreweries signed up this year.
Wow.
And that's from around the nation. That's not just here in Arizona. From all over, you can try beer and sample and just have a good time.
That's great.
Yeah.
So as we look at the ticket packages, how does that work this year?
You know, this year we switched up a little bit. There's a Friday admission price, and then there's a Friday general, VIP, and then beer 30 package. And then Saturday there's the same thing, or you can buy weekend packages, and all that stuff's on the website. It starts out at $15 for Friday general admission, and it builds from there. So you can customize whatever you want to make sure you get through the door and have a good time.
On the website.
On the website.
Okay. And can they come to the rec center then too? Or?
They can come to the rec center.
But you can get all of your package information and deals on the website itself.
Right. It's just www.rhythmofribs.com.
There you go. All right. And last question here, what is the boot campaign all about?
So Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor, the movie, yes. I'm sure everybody's heard of that.
Yes.
There was a group of women that saw that movie and they were extremely touched by it. I mean, it blew their mind. And so I don't know if our viewers know this, but predominantly the individuals that are in the military and the lower ranks fall in our poverty level. Mm-hmm. They're on food stamps.
Yes.
And they go off to war, and their wives and their family are left behind to survive, and not knowing if their husband's coming back. So that touched these women so much that they wanted to start a charity, a campaign. So basically what it is individuals and families that are in a hard time, that are in the military, can apply to get their electric bill paid, their water bill, to survive. And it's funded through these boots. And you buy these boots and you wear them, and they have the boot campaign logo on them. And each step you take is supporting that cause.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, what an opportunity to help support. Mm-hmm. It's what it's all about here in our community, because we do incredible public service programs and we help support, and KVRD, Yavapai Broadcast does. You know, we just enjoy all of this time together. We hope that you come and enjoy and join us during the September 5th and 6th Rhythm and Ribs program, as we just kind of bust out, and it's going to be incredible. So please join us, and thank you for joining us today for Inside Cottonwood, and we'll see you next month. Have a great day and enjoy Rhythm and Ribs. Your host today, Richard Faust, Community Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood.